What the heck? I'm live? Assalamu alaikum. Why did it press this one? Alright, well, whatever. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawm ad-dini wa sallama tasliman kathiran amma ba'd. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we ask Allah to send His blessings and salutations upon excuse me, upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today, Insha'Allah ta'ala, we begin a new chapter in our discussion on the Aqeedah-Waasitiyyah, Shaykh-ul-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, with the Sharh of Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al Uthaymeen. And we are at Faslun fil Imani bil Qadari. It's a chapter on belief in decree or preordainment, or we will see the various translations that are available for that particular term. قوله وتؤمن الفرقة الناجية أهل-us-Sunnah wal-Jamaa'ah bil-Qadr خيره وشره. The saved sect, Ahl-us-Sunnah wal-Jamaa'ah, believe in Qadr. It's good and it's evil. Al-Sharh, the explanation of this particular statement of Ibn Taymiyyah. Of course, this is the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah, and now this is the explanation of Shaykh al Uthaymeen alayhi rahmatullah. قوله الفرقة الناجية أهل-us-Sunnah wal-Jamaa'ah. Close the door, Baba, please. سبق تعريفها والكلام عنها في أول كتاب. In regards to the saved sect and excuse me, Ahl-us-Sunnah wal-Jamaa'ah, we've already broken it down. We have already broken it down in the beginning of the book, so there's no point in going over it again. Why they were called Ahl-us-Sunnah and Al-Jamaa'ah, and so on and so forth. وقوله بالقدر خيره وشره. القدر في اللغة القدر في اللغة بمعنى التقدير. So the word qadr linguistically means to evaluate, to assess, to measure something. قال تعالى إنا كل شيء خلقناه بقدر. Verily we have created all things with a measurement, with a particular measurement, with a particular or with a decree. وقال تعالى فقدرنا فنعم القادرون. So we did measure and we are the best to measure things. تمام? So one of the meanings and the fundamental linguistic meanings of qadr excuse me, has to do with measuring, evaluating, or assessing a particular thing. وأما القضاء فهو في اللغة الحكم. As for the term qada, because we say qada and qadar, and we will see why those two come together, then linguistically that it means to judge. It's a judgment. ولهذا نقول, that's why we say إن القضاء والقدر متباينان إن اجتمعا ومترادفان إن تفرقا. الله أكبر. We say qada and qadar are variants. They're segregated, separated in terms of meaning if they are mentioned together, meaning each one will carry an independent meaning. وَمُتَرَادِفَانِ إِن تَفَرَّقَا, but they become synonymous if they're separated. Meaning if they're mentioned together, each one will carry a meaning. If they're mentioned separately, meaning if one of them is mentioned, if we say qada, it means you're referring to qada and qadar. And if you say qadar, it means you're referring to qada and qadar. Capish? But if you say qada wa qadar together, then each one will have a more particular meaning than the generic meaning, which is encompassing both meanings at the same time. Tamam? نعم. على حد قول العلماء هما كلمتان إن اجتمعتا افترقتا وإن افترقتا اجتمعتا. So according to the scholars, there are two words. If they come together, they are separated, and if they're separated, they come together. Just a nice way of putting it. تمام. فإذا قيل, if it is said هذا قدر الله فهو شامل القضاء, this qadr of Allah, it already includes qada. أما إذا ذكر جميعا فلكل واحد منهما معنى. But if they're mentioned together, then each one has a separate meaning. فالتقدير هو ما قدره الله تعالى في الأزل أن يكون في خلقه. So تقدير now, like, which is that form of measurement, is what Allah Azza wa Jal decreed from eternity, that it will be in things that will happen to His creation, the things that will happen to His creation from the beginning, from the way beginning. Tamam? This is taqdeer as in measurement. وأما القضاء, as for qada, which here could mean decree, فهو ما قضى به الله سبحانه وتعالى في خلقه من إيجاد أو إعدام أو تغيير، وعلى هذا يكون التقدير سابقا. It's what Allah Azza wa Jal had decreed to happen in this creation, such as bringing it to existence, exterminating it, or changing it. And in this context, based on this, it precedes it. The taqdeer preceded it. It preceded the al-qada, al-qadr, afwan. It preceded the al-qadr. The qada preceded the qadr. فإن قال قائل, if a person were to say, متى قلنا إن القضاء هو ما يقضيه الله سبحانه وتعالى في خلقه من إيجاد أو إعدام أو تغيير، وأن القدر سابق عليه إذا اجتمع، فإن هذا يعارض قوله تعالى وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا. A person might say, if we say that qada is what Allah Azza wa Jal had decreed will happen to His creation of bringing to existence, or the opposite of that, or exterminating something, making it extinct basically, or changing, and we said that qadr came before that, so the measurement came before that because they were mentioned together, both qada and qadr, this whole idea contradicts the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, wherein He said, and He has created everything and has measured it exactly according to its due measurements. فأن هذه الآية ظاهر أن تقدير بعد الخلق. The apparent meaning of this ayah is that the taqdeer happened after the creation. The taqdeer happened after the creation. فالجواب على ذلك من أحد وجهين. The way we answer that is one of two ways. إما أن نقول, either we say إن هذا من باب الترتيب الذكري لا المعنوي. This here, the mention here, the order that in which it is mentioned, it is a more of a chronological order, and not the abstract one that is related to the meaning. وإنما قدم الخلق على التقدير لتتناسب رؤوس الآيات. The reason why the creation was put forward before the taqdeer is so that the beginning of the ayat and the end of the ayat can rhyme and can match, basically. So it is made for a linguistic purpose. It is made for a linguistic purpose. تمام؟ ألم ترى إلى أن موسى أفضل من هارون? Do you not see that Musa is better than Harun? لكن قدم هارون عليه في سورة طه في قول تعالى عن السحرة. But Harun was mentioned before his brother Musa in Surah Taha, when Allah spoke about the magicians. فألقي السحرة سجدا قالوا آمنا برب هارون وموسى. دي تتناسب رؤوس الآيات. They said, so the magicians fell in prostration and they said, we believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses. Now, Musa is better than Harun, so you would think that the ayah would be آمنا برب موسى وهارون. But because all of the ayat were ending with the sound of the fatha, the alif, al-alif al-maqsura, so in order for the consistency to happen in the same order, then it says برب هارون وموسى. So this happens in the Quran. وهذا لا يدل على أن المتأخر في اللفظ متأخر في الرتبة. This does not mean that whatever is mentioned later, basically, actually, in the linguistic and the structure of the sentence, that means it is also that thing is lower in its value or its position. أو نقول, there's another way to explain it. إن تقدير هنا بمعنى تسوية. The measurement here, what is intended by that is proportion. أي خلقه على قدر معين, meaning Allah Azza wa Jal created it with a particular proportion. كقوله تعالى الذي خلق فسوى, such as the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, who He has created everything and then proportioned it. فيكون التقدير بمعنى التسوية. So then here تقدير means to proportion. وهذا المعنى أقرب من الأول. This meaning is closer to the correct one than the first. لأنه يطابق تماما لقوله تعالى, because it is 100% matching. It is in perfect matching with the statement of Allah, الذي خلق فسوى, the one who created and then proportioned. فلا إشكال, then we have absolutely no issue anymore. We have no more issues. وَالْإِيمَانُ بِالْقَدَرِ واجب. Believing in Qadr is obligatory. ومرتبته في الدين أنه أحد أركان الإيمان الستة, and its position in the religion is that it is one of the 6 pillars of faith, 6 articles of faith or 6 pillars of faith. كما قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام جبريل حين قال ما الإيمان قال أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. Such as when the Prophet ﷺ said to Jibreel when he asked him about Iman, he said to believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers and the last day, and to believe in Qadr, its good and its evil. وَلِلْإِيمَانِ بِالْقَدَرِ فوائد منها. Believing in Qadr brings about a number of benefits. Among them are أولا أنه من تمام الإيمان ولا يتم الإيمان إلا بذلك. It is actually a way to achieve the completeness of Iman. Rather, Iman cannot be completed without it. That's number one. Excuse me. ثانيا, secondly, أنه من تمام الإيمان بالربوبية لأن قدر الله من أفعاله. It's actually part of believing in the rububiyyah. It's from the completeness of your belief in the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the lordship of Allah. Why? Because the qadr of Allah is one of the actions of Allah. It's one of the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thirdly, رد الإنسان أموره إلى ربه. The person referring his matters back to his Lord. لأنه إذا علم أن كل شيء بقضائه وقدره. Because if he knows that everything is by the qada and the qadr of Allah, i.e. the measurement and the decree of Allah, فإنه سيرجع إلى الله في دفع الضراء ورفعها. So that person will refer back to Allah in pushing back this harm and alleviating it. ويضيف السراء إلى الله, and then he will attribute all types of joy and happiness and prosperity to Allah. ويعرف أنها من فضل الله عليه, and then that person will acknowledge and know that this is merely from the bounty and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon him. رابعا, fourthly, أن الإنسان يعرف قدر نفسه ولا يفخر إذا فعل الخير. That the person knows his value, his status, so that he does not boast and he does not become proud when he does good. Tamam? So let's خامسا, we'll elaborate on them inshallah. خامسا, هون المصائب على العبد. This will lighten the calamities, the impact of the calamities on the slave. لأن الإنسان إذا علم أنها من عند الله. If the person knows that this calamity that has afflicted him is from Allah, هانت عليه المصيبة. This calamity will become lighter on him. كما قال تعالى, as Allah says, وَمَا يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِي قَلْبَهُ. Whoever believes in Allah, Allah will guide his heart. قال علقمة رحمه الله هو الرجل تصيبه المصيبة فيعلم أنها من عند الله فيرضى ويسلم. So Alqama rahimahullah said, the meaning of this ayah is, it's a man who's afflicted with a calamity, then he knows that it is from Allah, so he is pleased and he submits and he surrenders. سادسا, إضافة النعم إلى مجديها, attributing the bounties to the provider. لأنك إذا لم تؤمن بالقدر, if you don't believe in Qadr, أضفت النعم إلى من باشر الإنعام, you will attribute these bounties to the one who gave them to you directly. وهذا يوجد كثيرا في الذين يتزلفون إلى الملوك والأمراء والوزراء. This happens abundantly among those who belittle themselves and they try to seek nearness to the kings and the princes and the ministers. فإذا أصابوا منهم ما يريدون, when they attain from them what they want, جعلوا الفضل إليهم, they will attribute all bounty and blessings to them. ونسوا فضل الخالق سبحانه, and they will forget the virtue and the bounty of the Creator, the Exalted. صحيح أنه يجب على الإنسان أن يشكر الناس. It is true that a person should thank the people. لقول النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام, because the Prophet ﷺ said, من صنع إليكم معروفا فكافئوه, whoever does you a favor, reward him. لكن يعلم أن الأصل, كل الأصل وفضل الله عز وجل جعله على يد هذا الرجل. But he should know properly, and the most important fundamental thing to understand is that the virtue belongs to Allah, the bounty, the blessing is that of Allah, and Allah Azza wa Jal has used a particular person as means for you to receive it. Seventhly, أن الإنسان يعرف به حكمة الله عز وجل. The person will identify the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that. لأنه إذا نظر في هذا الكون وما يحدث فيه من تغييرات باهرة, if he observes this universe and he observes what is happening to it of major changes, عرف بهذا حكمة الله عز وجل, he will understand the wisdom of Allah. بخلاف من نسي القضاء والقدر فإنه لا يستفيد هذه الفائدة. Unlike the person who is forgetful, who does not even identify or recognize the qada and the qadr of Allah, he does not attain this particular benefit. Type. Let's go back a little bit here and just quickly touch base with each one of those. So number one, it's your Iman is incomplete, and we actually know from Ibn Umar, when he received news that people were not believing in Qadr, he sent them a message, say, tell them that there's no talking to me, I have nothing to do with them, and they have nothing to do with me until they believe in Qadr. Okay, of course, the scholars constitute this as an act of disbelief, by the way. So be careful, Muslims who believe in Jabariyah, or those who believe that Allah Azza wa Jal forced upon humans, He decreed for someone to be a certain way, then Allah will punish him for that. It's a very prevalent belief among Muslims. Out of ignorance, they have no idea that their Iman is incomplete, and they could be on a borderline disbelief. They're on disbelief because of their lack of belief of Qadr, or their misunderstanding of Qadr. Secondly, it's from the matters of Rububiyyah. So if you don't have proper belief in Qadr, your entire Tawheed is questionable, because not the Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah and Tawheed al-Asma' wa-Sifat, those are the ones where there's some sort of difference. The one where the Ahlul Qibla, the Muslims in general, the one where there should be no difference is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. If you have an issue with Rububiyyah, that means again your Islam is questionable. Thirdly, that you understand if everything is in Allah's control, and your relationship and your connection with Allah is ever strong, because you know that there's no way around what Allah had decreed except if Allah changes it for you. So you're constantly seeking Allah's guidance and begging Allah and make a dua for Him. Fourthly, when you do good, don't become proud and boastful and think that you did it out of your own accord, or because you're special. It's because Allah Azza wa Jal decreed it for you and facilitated for you. So don't be self-righteous, and understand that it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fifthly, same the other way around. When a calamity hits you, know that it didn't hit you except that Allah Azza wa Jal had decreed it. It was by the decree of Allah. So this will lessen and lighten the impact of the calamity. Sixthly, understand that your job, your boss, or anyone from whom you receive any type of monetary benefit or any type of benefit, know that these are tools that Allah Azza wa Jal is using. They are not the service provider. They're not the bounty giver. They're only delivery people. Don't treat them like the manufacturer. Treat them like the truck that delivered this item for you. They delivered this item to you. You don't, if you order something from Amazon and then FedEx delivers it to you, you don't say to the FedEx driver, thank you for making such a great product. Because he's going to look at you and say, hey man, what's wrong with you, bro? I don't make this product. I'm just delivering it to you. You understand? So when you think that whatever good you have is coming from the people, and you're neglectful of Allah, then you have misunderstood Qadr altogether. Tamam? Seventhly, you get to identify the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His creation. Tamam. وَقَوْلِهِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. As for the statement, the evil, the good, it's good and it's evil. الشر في القدر ما لا يلائم طبيعة الإنسان بحيث يحصل له به أذية أو ضرر. Okay, so when we speak about the evil aspect of Qadr, that means that which does not suit the human being, the nature of humans. I mean, that is that which is not in agreement with your nature. بحيث يحصل له به أذية وضرر, meaning you attain some harm or some discomfort from the from the qadr. Meaning evil in the sense is that which does not agree with your nature, and as a result of that it harms you, it hurts you, it affects you negatively. والخير ما يلائم طبيعته أو طبيعته. The khair is that which is in agreement with your nature. بحيث يحصل له به خير أو ارتياح وسرور, meaning because of that you attain good or comfort and happiness. وكل ذلك من الله عز وجل, but all of that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ولكن إن قيل, but if it is said, كيف يقال إن في قدر الله شرا وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الشر ليس إليه. If a person were to say, if it is said, how can we say that in the qadr of Allah there's evil, whilst the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that evil is not ascribed to him? الشر ليس إليه, meaning الشر ليس إلى الله, meaning we don't ascribe evil to Allah. فالجواب على ذلك أن يقال, oh no, my camera died, help. Oh no. All right, we're good. Apologies, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. فالجواب على ذلك, the response to that is that we say الشر في القدر ليس باعتبار تقدير الله له. So we say the evil in the qadr is not in the sense of Allah Azza wa Jal, not in the relation of how it was measured by Allah. لكنه باعتبار المقدور له, but it is evil to what it was measured for. So it is not evil in relation to what was measured by Allah. It's not what was measured by Allah that is evil, but it is evil to what it was measured for. So for the recipient, from the recipient's point of view, for him, from his perspective, from his subjective position, it's evil in that sense, but it was not evil when Allah Azza wa Jal measured it the way it turned out to be. لأن لدينا قدرا هو التقدير ومقدورا, because we have qadr as in that which was measured, and then we have a manifestation of that which was decreed, the result of what was decreed. كما أن هنالك خلقا ومخلوقا وإرادة ومرادة, just like we have creation and created, the creation, the act of creating, and then the result of the creation which is the creation, and then we have that which is intended and that which is the end result of the intent. فباعتبار تقدير الله له ليس بشر. In relation to Allah measuring it and decreeing it in that manner, it is not evil. بل هو خير, rather it is good. حتى وإن كان لا يلائم الإنسان وإذ يضر, even if it does not suit the nature of the human, even if it discomforts him, even if it hurts him. لكن باعتبار المقدور إما خير وإما شر, فنقول المقدور إما خير وإما شر. As for that which is decreed, the actual decreed, then we say that could be either good or it could be evil. فالقدر خيره وشر يراد به المقدور خيره وشره. So qadr, the good and the evil thereof, what is intended by that is the manifest decree. It's good and evil. Then the manifestation of the decree. So there's a decree and there's a manifestation of the decree. The decree, in a sense, that's from Allah, it's all khair. The manifestation now, the impact that it has on people, This is what you look at and say you believe in Qadr, Khayri wa Sharri, the good and the evil thereof. Because it was the words of the Prophet ﷺ. It's the Prophet ﷺ who said about Qadr, Khayri wa Sharri, the good and the evil. You understand? وَنَضْرِبُ لِهَذَا مَثَلًا فِي قَوْلِ تَعَالَى. We will strike a similitude or an example for you in the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا. Corruption has appeared in the land and the sea due to what men have earned with their hands. So Allah Azza wa Jal may make them taste a part of that which they have done. ففي هذه الآية بيّن الله عز وجل ما حدث من الفساد وسببه والغاية منه. Allah Azza wa Jal in this ayah told us what happened of corruption, the reason behind the corruption, and the end result, the manifestation of it. فالفساد شر, corruption is evil. وسببه عمل الإنسان السيء, the reason behind this corruption is the evil deeds of man. والغاية منه, the objective behind it, the end result, the wisdom behind it, ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون, so he may make them taste part of what they have done, perhaps they will return. Perhaps they will return. فيكون الفساد يظهر في البر والبحر فيه حكمة. فكون الفساد يظهر في البر والبحر فيه حكمة. The fact that corruption and turmoil appears in the land and the sea, there's wisdom behind that. فهو نفسه شر. It is evil in and of itself. لكن لحكمة عظيمة, but for a great wisdom. بما بها يكون تقدير خيرا. Therefore rendering the decree of that to become good. You understand? So when you look at it from one perspective, you say this corruption on earth, in the land and the sea, is it good or bad? You're going to say, Akhi, it's bad. Is it good or evil? Of course it's evil. Corruption is evil. طيب, what is the result? What does it lead to? Well, it would lead that perhaps the people will return. As Allah says, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. If they return to Allah, this is good or bad? You're going to say this is good. So we say, see, this is the wisdom of Allah. What you cannot attribute now evil to Allah, because what's the end result? People will return to Allah, and that's good. But for us humans, face value, when we see corruption, what is our initial reaction? We say this is evil. So it's evil in the sense of the maqdur, not the qadr itself. The qadr itself will lead to khair. But for the maqdur, the manifest decree, we say that this is evil from our opinion. كذلك المعاصي والكفر والشر. Similarly, sins and disbelief are evil. وهو من تقدير الله. And it is from the qadr of Allah. لكن لحكمة عظيمة, but for a great wisdom. لولا ذلك لبطلت شرائع. Had it not been for that, then they would be all the legislations would be void. It will render all the legislations void and useless. ولولا ذلك لكان خلق الناس عبثا. And had it been, and that would have rendered the entire creation of man to be just jest and joy, just something that is just for entertainment. والإيمان بالقدر خير وشره لا يتضمن إيمان بكل مقدور بل المقدور ينقسم إلى كوني وشرعي. Now, belief in qadr, the good and the bad, does not include the belief in all decreed matters. Rather, that the decreed matters is divided into two, universal and legislative. فالمقدور الكوني, the universal decree, إذا قدر الله عليك مكروها فلا بد أن يقع رضيت أم أبيت. If Allah Azza wa Jal decrees something that is unpleasant for you, it is inevitable that it will come to pass. It is inevitable that it will happen, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, whether you're satisfied with it or not, whether you're pleased with it or not. والمقدور الشرعي, as for the the legislative decreed matters, قد يفعله الإنسان وقد لا يفعله. The person may do it, a person may not do it. ولكن باعتبار الرضا به فيه تفصيل. As for being pleased with it, there's a further explanation. إن كان طاعة لله, if it is obedience to Allah, وجب الرضا به, it is obligatory that you're pleased with it. وإن كان معصية, if it is a sin, وجب سخطه وكراهته والقضاء عليه. It is obligatory to detest it and hate it and to remove it. كما قال الله عز وجل, as Allah says, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Let there be a nation among you that invite to all good and enjoin what is good and forbid what is evil. وعلى هذا يجب علينا الإيمان بالمقدي كله. Based on this, it is compulsory on us to believe in all decreed matters. من حيث كونه قضاء لله عز وجل. In a sense that this is from the decree of Allah. This is the decree of Allah. أما من حيث كونه مقديا. As for the fact that it's a decreed matter, meaning the manifest aspect of it. The manifest aspect of it. فقد نرضى به وقد لا نرضى. We may be pleased with it, we may not be pleased with it. فلو وقع الكفر من شخص, if this belief were to happen by someone, فلا نرضى بالكفر منه, we are not pleased with the act of disbelief from that person. لكن نرضى بكون الله أوقعه, but we are pleased with the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal is the one that made it happen. Allah Azza wa Jal is the one that made it occur. Okay, so I hope this is not going over your head, because a lot of people struggle with Qadr. They struggle with coping with Qadr and the complexity of it. Bismillah. And here comes an important explanation or disclaimer. You don't have to understand everything. There are certain things within the religion that are accessible and comprehensible to some and aren't so to others. When you come across a conflict of this nature that you're unable to break down and comprehend fully, you put up your flag and you say, آمنت بالله ورسوله. I believe in Allah and His Messenger. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا بمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا. I am pleased with Allah as my Lord, with Islam as my religion, and with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as my messenger. You don't have to understand it in order to believe in it. And the fact that you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's wrong. You could not understand it either because the one explaining didn't do a good job, or because you yourself don't have the comprehension skills, you don't have the proper foundations, you've been influenced by certain ideologies or philosophies. It could be many elements, many factors that affect you and impact you and prevent you from understanding certain subjects. So especially when it comes to Qadr, at some point, if you're not understanding, just don't think about it anymore. Don't dwell on it. Do not dwell on it. And submit. Say, I believe in Allah. It's the safest position. Even though, like I said, for many, it's clear cut, common sense, straightforward, no gimmicks about it, no confusion whatsoever. I mean, to me, it's clear like the sun. Allah had decreed everything and gave us free will, and He did not tell us what is it that He decreed. So from our perspective, you cannot say Allah decreed for me to Jahannam or Allah decreed for me Jannah. You don't know what Allah decreed for you. So be quiet and do good. Be quiet and stay away from bad. That's it. In terms of how do we understand evil, it's evil from your perspective. It's a subjective evil to you. But when Allah decreed it, the end result is ultimately good. Allah decreed that Jahannam exists. What's the wisdom behind that? That people will go to Jannah. That people will earn Jannah. People will earn Jannah and will enter Jannah and be tested. Everything is subjective in that sense, on how you see it, how it impacts you, and so on and so forth. Where am I here? Okay, do we go into darajat, fi darajat al-iman bil-qadr? No, because that is going to be another lengthy discussion, which we will postpone and leave to next week, inshallah ta'ala. Now, so inshallah we'll stop over here because it's a new chapter and I want to keep those chapters separated. طيب. Yalla. I have a fractured right arm, and if I use it to drink or eat, I cannot reach my mouth. Is it permissible for me to drink with the left hand? Yes, it is. I still don't understand. Uqsum billah, Qadr is the most confusing topic. Okay, well, sorry to hear that. Why mulhid? What mulhid? Who said mulhid? What are you talking about? So we need foundations to understand Qadr. Yeah, well, yeah, you have to have foundations of Islam, of course. You have to have understanding of the whole concept of believing in decree. You have to have the foundations of believing in Allah's names and attributes, because all this is related to Allah's names and attributes. You understand? So when you believe, for example, is that Allah Azza wa Jal is adil, Allah is just, this will automatically dismiss any thoughts or ideas that revolve around the idea or the concept that Allah Azza wa Jal might be doing injustice to the creation. So even if you're not understanding Qadr, you know, because you have a foundation related to belief in Allah's names and attributes, that وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا, your Lord does not oppress anyone. So you will never think, what if this and what if that? If you don't have those foundations and you're like a feather in the wind, then of course it's going to take you left and right. You're going to think, well, what is this? And what if this person had this decreed for him? And how do I know this? And how do I know that? Come on. Is it true that Shaykh Albani did not have any ijaza and he was self-taught? What do you say to someone who sent Shaykh al Uthaymeen? I'll tell the person who sent Shaykh al Uthaymeen, be ready to meet Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah with that slander. And Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, ijaza, he had plenty of ijazas, man. He was the ijaza giver. And he wasn't self-taught. There are things which he learned from the mashayikh, and there are things which he learned on his own. And that doesn't take away anything from what he had. Now, you don't have to have a degree from a university for you to be a sheikh. How to advise my father who has traits of being Quranist without making it turn into a debate argument? Don't confront him. Give him a book or write him a letter. Have someone else speak to him about it. Now, how do I understand Qadr? If we go, if who is going to Jannah and Jannah is already decreed by Allah, what's the point of doing good deeds? I have a lecture on this, man. Listen to the lecture. What is the name of the lecture about Qadr, ya Mussab? Just look it up on my channel. Put Qadr and put my name, and I have a lecture on the topic. It's a very simple thing, man. You don't know. I answered that already. You don't know whether Allah has decreed Jahannam or Jannah for you. So Allah told you, you do this, you go to Jannah. You do this, you go to Jahannam. Allah already knows where you're going to go. Did He tell you? No. So what do? Your job is to do good so you can go to Jannah. That's it. Will you do good to go to Jannah? Then Allah will put you in Jahannam? No way. So why are you worried, man? Yeah, do I have a choice? Jazakallah khair, ya Abu Sufyan. Do I have a choice? Yeah, you should listen to the lecture, inshallah. It will help you because it's a simplified version of this dars, actually. Now, is it cheating to install a Chrome extension to block YouTube videos without paying for YouTube Premium? How could that be cheating when Chrome is made by Google and Google owns YouTube and they allow you to install these extensions? So no, I don't think that's cheating. No, that's fine. Is Surah Mulk gonna save us in Judgment Day and also in grave? Please check your spelling, bro. Surah Al-Mulk is from the Sunnah to recite it before you go to sleep. And yes, when the Prophet ﷺ gives us glad tidings about something, then we believe in it. Now, should I continue this class if I'm taking the same book from Ustad Tim Humble? Shaykh Tim Humble is better than me. So If you have to choose between me and Muhammad Tim Humble, choose Muhammad Tim Humble. Who was Jahm ibn Safwan? And is he the founder of Jahmiyyah and Mu'tazila? Jahm ibn Safwan, we spoke about him in the beginning of this book, ya Ustad Maqam. We spoke about Jahm ibn Safwan in a dedicated class in the beginning of this book. Please go back to it. Are jinn addressed to in ayat Ya ayyuha al-insan? No. Because when Allah wants to address both, He says, Ya ma'shar al-jinni wal-ins. Naam. In school, break is from 12 to 12:35, but Dhuhr adhan is 12:32. So I don't even get time to pray because I have classes afterwards. Can I just pray qada prayer for the entire school week? No, you cannot. You have to find time to pray. Any school on earth nowadays, you are allowed, especially in these democratic countries where you have the freedom of religion, you are allowed to go to the administration and say, I'm a Muslim and I need to pray at that particular time. And they will accommodate. If you don't ask, no one's going to care. If you ask, they will accommodate. Otherwise, you could sue them. You could sue them from preventing you from exercising your religious freedom. Ustaz, when is the case that the opposite is true in a verse from the Quran? I don't understand. Ya Osman, you've been asking this question from yesterday, Ya Osman. Wallahi, I don't understand, Habibi. What do you mean, when is it the case? We said there's mafhum al-mukhalafa. When one thing is said that the opposite is understood, it's the case all the time. Unless there's an evidence that will dismiss that. Is Allah bound by time and space? Can we have clear view about it? Are you in the right class, guys? Because this is the Aqeedah class where we've already covered all these discussions. All of you who have these questions about Qadr, or not Qadr, about Jahm ibn Safwan, or those matters pertaining to Allah's names and attributes, that's what this book is for. You've missed it in the previous classes. Go back and listen to these classes from the beginning. Allah Azza wa Jalla is the creator of time and space. But Allah is above His creation, above the throne. And you point with the finger up. Allah is above. You don't get all philosophical about it. Say, but when people are in the universe, what if someone is at the bottom over there? That means like this Sheikh Dudu and his likes of among the deviants who distort Allah's names and attributes because their brains are too small to understand. Yeah, be careful who you listen to. Now, I have a question regarding the suraus in Malaysia. Do they count as masjids? I asked the people here, but they said it's in the same. So I don't know what a surau is, ya Sheikh. What is a surau? Suraus? Sounds like a Toyota car. Sequoia or suraus. Who is taller, you or Shaykh Asim? Shaykh Asim. Shaykh Asim is tall. I'm short, man. I'm on it. I'm short. Probably the shorter out there. The shortest out there. But I like it. How do you get rid of pride and arrogance? I've tried telling myself that my good deeds are a blessing from Allah, but it doesn't work. What should I do? Well, remember that you're nothing but a sperm that came out of, holes twice. Hope that registers. That's who you are. You came out from private parts twice. And you're nothing but a sperm drop that resembles someone's booger. What are you proud about, Habibi? Like you're special that you did these good deeds. You didn't do anything. Allah Azza wa Jal facilitated for you. If Allah takes it away from you, you can't even make wudu. Chill out. Understand that it's all the fadl of Allah upon you. Stop letting the shaitan play games with you. You're so special. You ain't special. I'm telling you to your face. You're not special at all. Had it not been for Allah, you're nothing. وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهِ. We were never to be guided had Allah not guided us. Internalize that. Can Allah change your qadr if you make dua? Of course. Of course. Assalamu alaikum wa salam. Can I download books that cannot be bought anyone anymore? No store nor any digital platform sell it. Only used. Wallahi ya akhi, tough one. If there's no harm that will occur to the seller, then inshallah there shouldn't be a problem, because the objective of not allowing those free downloads is that you don't hurt the publishers and the author of the book who are entitled to make some profit from their sales. Now, so we as Muslims shouldn't see sins as evil because there's wisdom. That's not what we said. Nobody said that. We already identified that we believe in Qadr, the good and the evil. We believe that there's evil, but it's evil in relation to us. In relation to us, from our perspective, it is evil. From Allah's perspective, it is not evil, because evil cannot be attributed to Allah, because Allah's wisdom ensures that what appears to be evil to us will end up in good. It will end up to become good. Capish? What's your advice to people who backbite, but when told not to, they say, I should tell it to their face also? You say, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. So you're going to backbite and be rude? Because the idea, the fact that you say, oh, if he was here, I would tell it to his face also, does not take away from the fact that you spoke about them in their absence. That's doubling down on your sin. And that's rejecting nasiha. And that is exactly what the hadith says when it spoke about those who will not enter Jannah. Among those who have a grain of mustard of pride in their hearts. And when the Prophet ﷺ was asked about people dressing nice, he said, that's not arrogance. Arrogance is to look down upon people and reject the truth. And so when someone tells you that you're backbiting and you reject that, and you say, oh, I would say to their face also, you are a manifestation and an embodiment of the arrogant person who doesn't want to be given advice. So you're doubling down, and now you really have compounded problems before Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So you need to chill and say, okay, Jazakallah khair, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't have said that. And if you're such a macho man, then when you see him, tell him to his face. Until then, keep quiet. What does usul fiqh stand for? Usul al-fiqh meaning the fundamentals of the principles of fiqh. Meaning fiqh, jurisprudence, the scholars have deduced from the Quran and the Sunnah certain principles by which they understand and they apply all matters of fiqh. So there are principles. Among the principles, for example, ad-daruratu tubihu al-mahdhurat. The necessities permit prohibitions. There's a principle in fiqh that if you're in a situation where there's a necessity, even that which is haram can become halal because of this situation. Another one is, for example, that the religion facilitates ease. The religion is pro-facilitation, pro-ease. Anytime matters become complicated, the religion came to make things easy for the people. And so on and so forth. Now, so here in Cape Town, people are still social distancing in Salah, even though they don't in other areas of life. Is this Salah valid? Yes. Even if people are not social distancing elsewhere because they're negligent, it doesn't mean that you don't social distance in Salah. You're still required to be cautious, and that's just being that's part of being cautious. No problem. Okay. Hello. What do Atharis believe about the attributes of Allah, like talking about the hand? Are they literal? Yeah, King Lino, yeah, Sheikh, Wallah Habibi, please go back to the beginning of this book. Go back to the beginning of this book. You're going to make me explain the book that I'm explaining in the Q&A of the book. We already discussed that. Of course it's literal, man. Of course Allah has a hand that befits His majesty. What is the difference between usul and qawa'id al-fiqh? Ask ask Shaykh Abdul Rahman Hassan. He'll break it down for you. Can Allah change your qadr and with dua? Yes, we already answered that. Yes. Dua changes qadr. Is the hadith about Surah Al-Mulk to protect yourself from questions in the grave authentic? Yes. Inshallah, it is authentic. Is it true that Shaykh al caused outrage in Saudi when he believed that wearing niqab is not obligatory? Yes, it is true. Who cares though, akhi? How to answer someone who argues that their ideology is sound and to leave questionable affairs that we struggle to comprehend in their belief. What? How to answer someone who argues that their ideology is sound and to leave questionable affairs that we struggle to comprehend in their belief. Yeah, what do you mean how to? A bit similar to how you're explaining Qadr and how we shouldn't dwell on it. Well, these are not the same because we're talking about a matter, an article of faith. What is their discussion on? It depends on what it's about. If they want to distort something from the Quran and Sunnah, we're dealing with people who are not understanding. We're not saying there's an issue with Qadr. There is no issue with Qadr. There's an issue with certain people. If you're one of those people who don't understand for whatever reason, then know that the issue is with you. That's all. That doesn't mean that we can come and copy paste this now and among other matters of religion say, hey, just leave me alone with this. It's questionable. I don't want to discuss it. It's my ideology. No, it doesn't work this way. What if a Christian says we shouldn't dwell on the Trinity? Akhi, I don't understand, ya Ahmad. Wallahi, how you came to this conclusion is beyond me. Is the book Irqi Nafsak wa Ahlak bi Nafsik a reliable and good ruqya book? Who authored the book, ya Maqam? Is it by Al-Qahtani? I don't know, ya akhi. So why are you so worried about the jinn? Why do you people worry about you know that one of these sicknesses we have in this modern day is the obsession that the people have with jinn? You're living in this world with human beings that are visible to you, tangible, touchable, sensible. A person spends half of his life worrying about what's happening on the jinn side. And jinn did this and jinn did that and jinn possession and jinn obsession with jinn بطيخشن. خلصونا بقى انتوا والجن. جننتوا أهلي يا شيخ. جننتونا بالجن حقكم. خلاص يا بابا. خلاص. Guys, live like jinn don't exist. Have yaqeen that they exist. Wallahi, they exist because Allah Azza wa Jal created them. But you cannot live your entire life worried about what the jinn is doing and where they're going and when they're coming. It becomes a sickness and obsession. People become scared of themselves, scared of their own existence, scared into going into the bathroom, scared into going into a room, scared into going to a dark place, scared of this, scared of that. Their whole life is obsession with jinn. I know that you're just asking, Ya Habibi, but how many questions about jinn do you ask? It is not healthy, Habibi. It is not healthy. Badena, your name is Mulhid. Now I just realized why someone said Mulhid. Mulhid means, Ya akhi, you're an atheist. Mulhid means atheist, ya baba. What? My name is Mulhid. Huwat Khat means atheist are wrong. Ah. Okay. Well, still, akhi, you have to bear with us that not everybody speaks Urdu here. So all we read is Mulhid and people automatically did takfir on you. Allah yahdik ya Shaykh. Change this name, Allah yastir alayk. No, you cannot take knowledge from Yusuf al-Qaradawi and Muhammad al-Dedo. Of course you cannot. Both are deviant. Both are deviant scholars. Okay. Samsung chips are slow, brother. Apple A14 chip is a monster and destroys benchmark test, brother. You should try it out and buy the latest iPhone, Habibi. Ha ha ha, hoo, he. I bought the latest iPhone, Habibi. And I threw it in the trash as soon as I bought it. Then they told me, come on, bro, that's not nice. So I took it out of the trash and I shoved it in the drawer. Habibi, when you have a phone as lame and as the user interface is as lame as iOS, then even if you put a turtle in there, it will still destroy benchmarks. Because in reality, the phone doesn't offer you anything that is innovative. Such a lame user interface made for dummies. With all due respect to the people, iPhone is for dummies. iPhone is for people that have no understanding of technology, people that don't know how to dial a phone number. Those are the iPhone users. It's, they had everything's for dummies. It's like, oh, look, wow, look, very fast phone. رو يا بابا رو الله يرحمها لك رو. يلا. Can I delay Isha prayer to mend and follow the sunnah of delay in the prayer? If you're not praying in Jama'ah, then no problem, inshallah. Naam. And you don't miss out on the Jama'ah in order to pray on your own. Yalla, enough already, guys. Ustad, is it wajib to use Chrome, YouTube, or mobile because there's no way to block ads on YouTube app? No, it's not. Not that I know. Just don't look at the ad. Mute your phone and don't look at the ad and skip ad. Yalla. That's enough for today. It's a long Q&A. Is it permissible? خلاص, enough. We'll deal with it next time, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Oh, the mouse